Today I'm going to teach you how to create DIY organizational labels using the Cricut foil tool. The supplies I used for this project are foil transfer sheets, the Cricut foil tool. You'll also need a green Cricut mat. You'll need a Cricut pen in your choice colors, and you'll also want some printable vinyl for the labels themselves, a Cricut machine of course, and then you'll also want the label templates, which you can find in Cricut Design Space, and I also have some for free on my blog at abbikirstencollections.com. The link for that is going to be below in the video description for you. Or if you're in the blog post already, you can just scroll up to the supply section and I will link them there for you as well. For me, this time of year is all about getting organized. So in my craft room, I have a huge wall of vinyl of all different kinds, and I decided it would be really helpful to label them, and that is what I'm going to be creating my labels for here in this tutorial today. And if you love these labels and you love these phrases and you want to do the same thing in your craft room, they are free on my blog, so you can grab them and download them. Let's get started. Alright, so first things first, I want to show you the setup in Design Space for this, because there is some steps you have to take in order to get the foil process set up correctly so that everything works for you and you can get your foil transferred onto these labels. So I have created my own labels for these, which you can find on my blog, but if you don't want to use my labels and you want to create your own, you can of course just grab your text tool or go over to images and search for like some labels that they might have in Cricut Design Space here. I'm sure they have plenty of them, so you can absolutely create your own labels here in Design Space. I'm going to go ahead and upload my labels and insert these into my canvas. You're going to want to think about what size you want your labels to be, so just keep that relative to whatever you might be working on. So don't forget to measure the size of your label and the object you're putting them on to make sure that it's not too big or too small. I'm going to ungroup these first. And I've created these, like I said, for labeling a bunch of vinyl in my craft room to keep myself organized. What I need to do is I need to change these line types in order to make sure that things are being read by Design Space correctly in order for the machine to do what it's supposed to. So for example, for each of these words here and these texts, I want to select those and I want to go up to line type and I want to change it to draw, because I'm going to be using a pen for all of the words. So make sure for each one of these you change this to draw. Even if you're creating these in Design Space yourself and you're typing the text out, you're still going to need to come to the line type and you're going to need to change it to draw to let the Design Space in your Cricut machine know that you want this to not cut out but rather to draw with a pen. So just make sure you do that with each one of those pieces. Let me zoom in here just a little bit. I'm going to be focusing on this one right here. So I've changed my words here to draw. Now for this nice little sort of border we have here and these little fleurs that you see right here, this is the part that is going to be in gold foil. So I'm going to click on each of those and I'm going to again go to the line type. I'm going to go down to foil and I'm going to select medium. I feel like medium is a good middle ground. I've tried fine, I've tried bold. You can absolutely play around with that, but I'm going to choose medium. You're going to see the representation of that change. And then for each of these little pieces here, I'm going to do the same thing. Go to line type and I'm going to change that to the foil. Now the really important part with this is you need to make sure you attach the draw lines, the foil lines, and then of course this silhouette of the label that will be cut out all together so that it doesn't get scrambled when we go to the cut screen. If I were to go to the cut screen right now and click the make it button, you would notice that everything is going to get all jumbled and separated out and nothing is going to get put nicely on our labels, and that's not what we want. So make sure once you have changed your lines here for each of these labels, you select each label individually like so, and you go down to the bottom right hand side and use that attach tool to attach those layers together so that everything is going to stay exactly as it should. Once you get all of your line types taken care of and you've attached each of these label pieces together, then it's time to go ahead and go to your cut screen by clicking that make it button. And you'll want to make sure, if you're using printable vinyl like me, which comes in 8.5 by 11, you want to change that to letter size so that everything is formatted here correctly for you and it's cutting out within those 8.5 by 11 dimensions. Go ahead and hit continue and connect to your Cricut machine of choice. Once your machine has been connected, you'll want to select your material. I already have printable vinyl under my favorites here, but if you don't, then you would browse all materials and you would select it from the materials list. Printable vinyl, you can just type it in and search it and it will come up. I'm placing my printable vinyl right there on my green cutting mat and loading that into my Cricut machine. You'll also need to make sure that you change your fine point blade out for your Cricut foil tool. Make sure that you have the correct tip inserted, which for me is 2 lines because I am using the medium tip for the foil tool. I've gone ahead and inserted that there, and you also need to insert your pen at this point. So open clamp A and insert your pen and press it down until that arrow disappears so that you know it's inserted all of the way, and then close clamp A. You'll go ahead and load your mat, and then you will click that flashing Cricut icon button, and it will start first with writing all of your text onto the printable vinyl. This will take a couple of moments while it goes through the process of writing all that text out. Once the pen is done drawing, it's going to pause and it's going to ask you to add your foil over the top of the printable vinyl here. Do not unload your mat. It's very important you do not unload the mat. You don't want to have to start over. If you unload your mat, you will have to start over. I've trimmed my foil down to fit the surface of my printable vinyl. And I'm going to grab some of those foil transfer sheet strips, the little sticky strips that it comes with, and you're going to place that down on all 4 sides. It's really important to make sure that your foil here is taut. So see how mine is really taut and there's not a lot of looseness to it and there's not a lot of big wrinkles down the center. That is really key in making sure that your foil transfers properly. So make sure you get that placed down nice and taut, and once you have, go ahead and hit that Cricut flashing icon button again, and it will then proceed with the foil aspect of the cut. Once your foil is done transferring, again, make sure you do not unload your mat. You'll just want to carefully remove your foil, lift up those sticky edges, and carefully remove the foil, making sure that you don't accidentally lift up the printable vinyl. And just carefully get all of that removed. You should reveal your really pretty foil transfer design. And get that moved off there and thrown away. Again, do not unload that mat. And then you'll want to open clamp B and you'll want to remove the foil tool and insert your fine point blade back in, and then go ahead and click that flashing Cricut icon button to continue the last portion of our cut here, which is actually cutting the silhouette of our tags out around the pretty foil design that we've transferred there. Finally, once you see that double arrow button flashing, then you can unload your mat and your entire project process will be complete. Make sure you flip that mat over and gently peel the mat away from the printable vinyl to help eliminate curling. And there we have it. Our foil labels are complete, and it's time to first admire them and then to place them onto our containers of choice. In my case, it's going to be my vinyl containers that I have in my craft room, and I've organized these by type, so I'm placing my labels onto each of these containers that I have sitting on a bookshelf in my craft room to keep everything nice and organized and visually appealing for myself to know exactly what I'm looking for at all times. I hope you all enjoyed this tutorial, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.